We go. Good evening, everybody. Tonight's program is dedicated in memory of Bilha Bas Dvorah Avraham and David Shimon ben Nachum, the Neshama Shalom and Aliyah. We're very honored to have us with us, Rabbi Orenstein from Nevada, and he's going to talk to us about a very interesting job that he has. What kind of job is this for a Jewish boy? So first of all, Rabbi Orenstein, thank you, 1,000 thank yous for joining us tonight. We really appreciate your giving us of your time, and we're looking forward to hearing about your work in the prison system. So let's start at the beginning. Give us your background. How did you wind up becoming interested in chaplaincy?
Well, first, let me say thank you, Rabbi, for having me, and I'm very happy to be here. So my first experience really in prisons was I was in Zal. I was at the middle of rabbinical school, and every time Hanukkah comes around, the Purim comes around, there's always an opportunity to either you have some of the rabbinical students go and help another rabbi, help a shliach, or different things to help people. So someone approached me, say, "Hey, would you like to visit a prison?" I was like, "Oh, I'll try it." It turned out, I mean, it turned out to be one of the most incredible experiences I've ever had. I went to Maryland. I was sent by the Aleph Institute. For those who don't know, the Aleph Institute is the largest and most important Jewish inmate advocacy organization. They help Jewish inmates across the United States, whether it's advocating for them to make sure that they have what they need religiously, making sure volunteers, go visit them, stuff like that. So I was down in Maryland. I went to 6 prisons that Purim, and it was just an incredible experience. And I was volunteering really ever since. I've done almost every Yom Tov in prison, and then almost from the first time I visited a prison, this was something that I knew this was something I wanted to do. And when this job opened, in California, I took it.
Wow. So what is it like for you? You're a rabbi, you grew up in yeshiva. We don't think of going to prison as being part of your life experience. What's it like for you to walk into a prison, to deal with, your congregation, criminals, violent criminals, people that the Jewish community would rather pretend didn't exist, people that we're ashamed of? I mean, what is it like just walking into the cold prisons? What's it like dealing with a community of people in prison?
So what I always tell people, and this is the Alter Rebbe and the author of the Tanya, he writes in Perek Lamed Beis a very basic dilemma. The basic dilemma that he has is that it says you're supposed to love every Jew, but at the same time it says you're supposed to hate an evil person. So how could you reconcile the two things? So the Alter Rebbe explains how you love the soul of the person, you love the neshama of the person, but you dislike the actions that the person did. And when I go into a prison, I'm not the judge and jury. I don't judge them. I'm not there to say whether they're innocent or guilty. In my mind, it's irrelevant. I am there. Everybody is brought down into this world for a purpose. And for some people, the Lubavitch Rebbe said, discussing, inmates, that everyone here is brought down into this world to bring light. And some people have to go to a place where there is so much darkness, and only there they're able to bring light. And that's what I feel when I visit an inmate, that it's not what they did, it's what they can do and what I could push them towards doing. And also, even statistically, you'll look at the numbers, 56% of inmates that have been arrested will go back after being released. If they get involved in religion, this is any religion, that number goes down to 40%. If they stay involved, when they leave, the number goes down to 26%. And then if they find a mentor, they find the mashpia, they find someone to actually, talk to once they leave, that number goes down to 9%. We're talking about if somebody really gets involved in what I have to offer or what chaplains like me have to offer, the recidivism rate goes down, and ultimately, even unfortunately, some people are never getting out, but they have a purpose wherever they are. You know, we're in this world because God wanted to make a dwelling place for himself down here. That's why this world was created. And some people, they have to make a dwelling place for God over there in a place that is you know, not very comfortable.
So what kind of prisons are you in? A maximum security? Are these like what we would consider hardcore criminals? Are these guys erased a couple of strokes off their golf score? I mean, what's the population that you're
so the prison I'm at is if you miss yellow the too many times, that's where they send you.
That's where they send me.
We do have a lot of very serious criminals at the prison that I'm at. So there's a spectrum at the prison, but we do have a lot of intense inmates there as well.
Are you afraid? Are you scared?
So chaplain, so they're not out to get you. The inmates are not out to get you. There's chaplains, they're not out to get you. There's actually a story another chaplain told me that that he was speaking to one of the inmates, and then in the middle of the conversation, the inmate told him, "I think it's time for you to go." And then right after he left the yard, you know, something happened on the yard. He like had the courtesy of telling the chaplain to leave. You know, it's the first thing is we're not a target. Second thing is I do have an alarm that I carry with me. And when there was one time I accidentally pressed the button, and within 20 seconds we had, you know, many corrections officers. It's the custom, if you accidentally press the button, you have to bring donuts the next day, you know, to reinforce the stereotypes. But yeah, I'm definitely very well protected. I'm definitely not a target, and I feel really comfortable being in the prison environment.
Is it ever almost unbelievable that the guy you're sitting and talking with is a bank robber or missed the Alviova more than 3 times? I mean, does it ever strike you who this guy is?
So it's like I said, in my mind, it's I look at it not so much what the guy did. I look at what he can do and what could I offer him going forward. What could I offer him for purpose, a meaning-driven life. And also, I never ask an inmate why they're there. I only bring it up, it only comes up if the person wants to bring it up himself and say like, hey, you know, I did this in my past and I want, you know, I'm trying to move forward. Otherwise, I don't discuss it with them unless they bring it up to me.
So what can they do? You talked about them bringing light into the prisons. I mean, what mitzvah opportunities do they have besides maybe having a visit with you? Can they put on tefillin? Can they get kosher food? Can they study Torah? I mean, what is really available to a hardcore criminal inside in the Torah sense?
So this is really the benefit of what the Aleph Institute has. They help me in terms of, so the prison, if you're Jewish and you want to be on a kosher meal, you get the kosher meal. If you ever went on an airplane and tried those kosher meals, think of maybe half as good as that, and you can understand the kind of quality that a typical inmate receives. In terms of the other Jewish things that they could do, they have access to tefillin if they want it, and then they have and that, like the Aleph Institute will help them, you know, get the tefillin. And then like I put up a sukkah on Sukkot. Wow. I made sure they had matzah on Pesach, you know, matzah, grape juice. The Aleph Institute sent shelf-stable sidurim, so it had like the mar was in a container that was shelf-stable. Like they were able to have a full seder even, you know, behind bars.
Do the Jewish prisoners have a camaraderie amongst each other, or are they aligned with each other, or they just happen to randomly come and participate?
So the Jewish inmates, they get to know, some, there definitely is a community of Jewish inmates who, are with each other. Yeah, I would definitely say that. Yeah, they're, they're, I would say there's like there definitely is a camaraderie.
Have you or of the prisoners have it been reported to you that they suffer from anti-Semitism, either from other inmates, guards? Is it the system rigged against them? I mean, the people asking for special meals and special accommodations. Have they been more accommodated than other communities, less accommodated? How's that played itself out?
So what I would say is working for the California prison system, they're really, I have had an amazing relationship with the corrections officers that are there, and with the warden and with the staff.
You keep bringing donuts. That's what they like.
Yeah. I haven't had any problems at all. Now, over the course of my volunteering in other states, inmates have told me stories that happened to them.
Mhm.
So it can happen throughout the country. Just where I worked, I've never had a single complaint.
Okay, great. So can you give us, I'm not asking for any secrets, but just, you work in one prison? Is it a system of prisons? Are you like
So
9 to 5?
I work in one prison.
And you're there just 5 days a week? You just show up at 9 o'clock?
There's around 2,000 to 3,000 inmates in that prison.
Okay, and you go there just every day?
Yeah, it's every day.
Oh boy. And you live, I'm not giving you away secrets here, but you don't even live in California. You live in the Nevada
I
side.
I live in Reno, and I have to commute to the prison.
So can you just touch on that? What's it like to live in Nevada? What kind of Jewish community is there in Reno? What's that like? It was about 2 years ago, we had the Harley twins from Las Vegas on, talking about what life is like there. What's it like in Reno?
So Reno and Vegas are nowhere near each other. They're like
conceptually,
I don't know. It's like it's like driving from Chicago to Minneapolis. Like, they're really not. Chicago, Minneapolis, I think, are closer to each other than Reno and Vegas is. Nevada is basically kind of like Australia. There's some people in Reno. There's some people in Vegas. Nothing in the middle. Reno is so the shliach here is Mendel Kunin, and Rabbi Mendel Kunin. He's been the shliach here for a very long time, and I help him out when necessary. I help him out like I do, Chaver Kadisha and stuff when it comes up.
So you have a Chaver Kadisha in Reno, a burial society, Jewish burial society.
Yeah, we just expanded the Jewish cemetery here, and
Wow. So what can you give us, like, just curious numbers? How many Jews live in Reno, Nevada? That's pretty wild.
I don't exactly know the number. It's not that many, but like, we have a consistent Shabbos minyan here.
Okay.
And if somebody has yard sites, we're able to pull a minyan together. But otherwise, I'm not exactly sure the numbers.
Gotcha. Okay. So, Rabbi, if anybody wants to unmute themselves and jump in here and ask a question about life in the prison chaplaincy, we'd be honored to have you. Otherwise, we do want to be respectful of the rabbi's time. We want to thank him for sharing his time with us and for this work. And it's really an eye-opener for us, what it's like to get up every day and say, where are you going? Going to prison, and being a rabbi in your congregation is people who skip
Rabbi, other chaplain duties besides the prison duties?
Because I just
okay. I don't know what that was. Some outer space comment. I don't know.
I wanted to ask the rabbi if he had any other chaplain duties outside of the prison chaplaincy.
So I am a chaplain in the National Guard. I just got in that recently, but I don't really have much stories to explain with that. because I literally just got in, but I am also a National Guard chaplain.
So we'll have you back next year to talk about that. We did have Jewish
Yeah.
chaplain Rabbi David Grossman. Anybody else got a quick question? Otherwise, we do want to be respectful of the
Rabbi
rabbi.
Epstein, I have a
Yes,
question.
Please.
Do you have any feel-good stories? Do you have any stories of somebody that when they got out, they started going to shul or something like that, or something that happened in the prison that, like a feel-good story that you felt that you really helped somebody?
If not, make one up.
Actually, a lot of my really good stories happened while I was still volunteering, and I'll tell you one of them. So in Crown Heights, there's something called talucha, where we go like on the Yom Tovim, we walk to other shuls outside of Crown Heights. So I used to do talucha for hakafes and Simchas Torah. I used to go to the Brooklyn federal jail. So so my first year, I walk in there, we daven mincha, and then I was going to give a small speech. We were going to do marv, and then we are going to do hakafes. At the end of mincha, someone got up and he said he wanted to say Kaddish. I wasn't expecting someone saying Kaddish. He said, so the guy said Kaddish. We did a kafes after, the kafes went amazing. After kafes was over, saying after we davened Ma'ariv, he said Kaddish again, and we did hakafes, and hakafes went beautifully. When I went over to him afterwards, the man was in tears. I asked him what happened. He says he's generally in a prison that there's a minyan. In a federal prison, there's a couple federal prisons that have minyanim.
So proud.
But he was sent to the Brooklyn jail because he had a medical procedure, so they needed him near the hospital, I guess. But there wasn't a minyan. They generally don't make a minyan there. So he told me he never said Kaddish for his father. I don't know what his story was, but he said he never said Kaddish for his father. But he made a deal with Hashem that he said if he gets a minyan tonight, he'll say Kaddish for his father. And that's when I showed up.
Nice.
So the man was in tears after.
Brought him that bracha. Beautiful. Okay.
Yeah.
And if anyone else wants to jump in, otherwise we will be respectful of the rabbi's time. And thank you very much. Tomorrow night, we're going to learn a new mimer. In the email I sent out, and I'll resend it tomorrow, there's a link with the text in Hebrew and in English. It's about the month of Elul and preparation for Rosh Hashanah. Rabbi Orenstein, thank you. 1,000 thank yous. We really appreciate your time and the work that you do. And we're looking forward to hearing about your chaplaincy in the National Guard, maybe next year. But until then, we wish you a ksiva v'chasima tova, l'shana tova u'mesuka, and we want to wish the Rabbi Mazel Tov. He just had a baby girl, Miriam, last week. So Mazel Tov to you. Thank you for making time. And we're sorry about a certain person who jumped in with that first question. You know, we can't control the people who come on. Thankfully, we had a much better second question, but there's nothing you can do about it. What should I tell you? You can pick your friends, as they say. Okay. A good night to you. See you all tomorrow night with mine. Good night.